Right, here goes. Taking stock of BRICS. I've got with myself today Cyril Widdershoven. I'll let you introduce yourself, but just quickly, from my perspective, I've been following you for quite some time. Strategic thinker, knowledge of global geopolitics. I know you have a background in war studies. You've been engaged with numerous think tanks, academia, industry, and you've traveled extensively across, in particular, the Middle East and the rest of the world. You're based in the Netherlands, and you have this unique position of, understanding history, understanding the West, which is in Northern Europe, where you are, Middle East, and the added bonus of being married to an Egyptian lady. I hope that was a good introduction.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Right, let's get straight into it. So a lot of talk in the press about the expansion of BRICS and I guess now the term is BRICS plus, perhaps, or enlarged BRICS. And immediately, whether it's for show or dramatizing, there's a move to say, this BRICS is a counterweight to the West. This BRICS is at the beginning of perhaps a new monetary system. And then when you hear statements from Lula, which I think I read in one of your published online pieces, this may herald, or this may be the beginnings of a new economic or new world order. What's your view on that, Cyril?
As we know, history has shown that strategies and hopes are not always reaching the goals that we are hoping for. So, in principle, BRICS plus, so BRICS plus the 6 that have been invited are an economic power that we should be looking at. At the same time, then as a person that lives inside of the EU and has been living through the development of the European Union, I know that things are going slower than we hope, or that they hope. And second of all, it's hard to see BRICS, or especially BRICS Plus, to become very quickly the same economic, political power that the European Union is right now, because the internal diverse economic strategies, financial situation, geopolitical links, strategic theories that are inside of China, India, Brazil, South Africa, Russia. It does not propose the idea that this will become a real economic geopolitical power within the next 4-5 years. And that's if things would be happening as they envisage it. And second of all, if the economic situation, because it's in theory an economic geopolitical idea. So that will mean that to bring them all together as a real economic power, you need to integrate, not only coordinate, but integrate economic systems which stand almost opposite of each other. China is state-controlled capitalism. India, it's a democracy and it's an emerging economic power. Russia is a geopolitical power which is somehow in decline, and its economic situation is rather dire. And if you then look at Brazil, Brazil has a huge potential, but never has been able to reach it. And South Africa is also under pressure. But already BRICS, to bring BRICS as an economic financial power into a real geopolitical power, it's a challenge that I would say is enormous. And if you then even expand it with 6 other ones, Saudi, UAE, Egypt, Argentina, it does not make things easier. Diverse strategies, diverse financial situation, and then going into geopolitics, well, the geopolitical strategies of China stand almost opposite to geopolitical strategies of India. So to bring these two, which are somehow still at a war footing sometimes, and even today there's another clash because China brought out new geographical maps which include parts that India says, okay, but sorry, these are mine. Well, if you take that and then look at the prime example, the European Union, it's very hard to see to have this as a real geopolitical unified power that will propose, let's say, the global south idea. Well, most of them are not even in the global south; they are up north. Yeah. So it's hard to envisage the statements that I'm seeing, the dreams that they are following, which I do understand. But to see this happening within the next 4 or 5 years, I think it's at the same level as stating that Europe will become net zero in 2030.
Right.
That's
okay.
A dream.
A dream. Okay. So let's latch on to something else which has been talked about a lot, you know, as commentators and strategists try to rationalize. They then look at they then move their position a little bit and look at it from a resources perspective. And and I know in a previous discussion we we touched upon this, the idea of the resources of BRICS and the power and resources of OPEC, and we formulated a term BROPEC.
BROPEC.
BROPEC, yeah. So how do you see the clustering of resources, both fossil resources and non-fossil resources like lithium and critical minerals, and the direction of the energy transition, which is what a lot of people are interested in?
Yeah. I like this new term, which, sorry, I am also going to use in my next articles, quoting, of course, you, that BROPEC is in theory a rearrangement of natural resources in optima forma. Yeah, so the main underlying aspect of a BROPEC, which slightly is maybe even already wrong, yeah. Oil, gas resources will be a major power that could propose a BRICS plus a BROPEC. Yeah, oil, gas, Saudi, UAE, Egypt, Brazil, Russia, China. Yeah, because people do
Iran.
not realize China produces oil and gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. to have that access, to have a coordinated market approach, quoting a Saudi energy minister, OPEC is looking at a coordinated market stabilization approach. Well, if you link that to the economic developments in China, in India, in Russia, then you are addressing a major global energy power, hydrocarbons. If you then look at energy transition, which will take much longer than that we think, but okay, then the natural resources, critical minerals, metals, mining access, etc. If you then look at what BROPEC of BRICS Plus is doing or is holding already, then it is already, in theory, a geopolitical power that we still do not assess enough or realize that it's already there. Right. BROPEC or no BROPEC, when we look at OPEC and the BRICS and also look at what both groups have as an access to critical minerals and metals and their investments, look at Saudi. They are not only investing now in mining inside of Saudi, but they are definitely investing multi-billions in access to mining elsewhere, aka China, aka Russia, aka India. So that's where a main power is building up, and if they are coordinating their strategies, their access, that's a potential threat between the brackets, because in the end, still, even for metals and mining, it's a global market. Hydrocarbons, yes, OPEC is a market maker, market stabilizer, but they still need the market. So they can try to change things, but if the market says we do not believe it, like what we see now, prices are still not there where they were hoping. Now, where there is another major issue, and we have been discussing it before, look at the geography of BRICS Plus. Look, it's very interesting to see where people have access to oil, gas, energy resources, hydrogen, ammonia, metals, critical metals. We also have this access because, the shells, etc., or major mining firms are still in Africa, Latin America, Asia. However, simple, if you have access to mining, but you are able to produce it, but you are not able to bring it where it's needed, because God has decided somewhere in time that certain things are not there where the demand is. Oil is there where there is demand, but the main demand is somewhere else. So we need to bring it from A to B. And if you then look at geography, just shake the map of the world and you look at where they all are, then it's a simple geographical, geopolitical strategy that also includes global trade access, global trade movements, and 85% or maybe even more is going via maritime trade, maritime shipping. And if you have then not the access or the ownership of the ports, you have a major issue. And yes, I'm from Europe. Yes, I'm Dutch, but okay, my heart is somewhere else. We do not have anymore the access that we had. Yeah, okay, the current BRICS Plus looks to me almost like the bloody map in history that was the Dutch East Indies companies or the Dutch West Indies, because we owned the ports, we had access, we were ruling.
Right.
The British were doing it after us, and it's the same map. And now it's not anymore our map, but we still will need energy transition. Every single product we need, it's not being made anymore in Europe or the USA. It's made in Asia. Every single mineral, critical mineral, metal, yes, we also have it, but okay, ESG and social responsibility, so we are not producing it anymore, because mining we do not like anymore. So it's somewhere else. Do we have access? In theory, yes. In principle, it's owned by somebody else. So that's where the real geopolitical power, or maybe even the real geostrategic military power, because main Chinese ports outside of China are being built by companies linked to the Chinese army. Russia is doing the same. And then you have the Arab world, yeah, Abu Dhabi ports, DP World, Saudi is becoming a logistical hub, logistical investment in Africa. So we need to, the global north, Europe, we need to wake up. BRICS Plus, as we see it in the media, it's not going to be there for the next 5, 10 years, if ever.
Right.
Access, coordination, it's already there.
Right. So this is just an emphasis of that, and what you mentioned earlier on about the ports. I think this morning I read DP World taking a stake in another port in Turkey, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember its name. We also crisscrossed this subject on the Maritime, and you elucidated to the importance of the South China Sea,
yeah,
and also of the Suez.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, the main media analysis of the Chinese aggressive moves in the South China Sea. Yeah, okay, that's the assessment of the West. Yeah, so we see it as it's not only access to the islands or access to fishery grounds or whatever. In history, and that's what the Dutch were doing, and that's what the English were doing, and the French, main resources that China needs, main trade to and from China, or China, Japan, South Korea, to the rest of the world, needs to have access more or less to the Strait of Malacca. The Strait of Malacca, if you look at the map, it's more or less the most southern point that maybe even is linked to the South China Sea. So that's where first the Dutch, we were taking Indonesia also to have access to China, to Southeast Asia, to Japan. The English were doing the same. Look, Singapore was not of importance for trade because Singapore itself did not do a lot. It was the access to or the option to block. Now, if China is doing that from that perspective also, and keep in mind, most of the oil and gas is flowing from that side. Whatever people are saying about Russian oil and gas to China via pipelines, South China Sea, Malacca will be of the most importance to China. We also know that. Now, looking then at, again, Dutch, East Indies, and then the English, etc. Why are we interested, or why were we interested in Egypt? That was not because we were planning to have tourism and go to the pyramids and in Sukhna and Marsa Alam. No, it's the shortest route or the most strategical route to go to Asia. And that's from the western side. If you look from Asia, Egypt is the most important access route to Europe, and even to the most important countries in Africa. Yeah, so access to Egypt, it's a main political issue. Why do they then also invite Egypt? It's simple. You have the strongest Arab country, the strongest army, that's Egypt. You have the largest population, officially 124. Believe me, it's more than that. Yeah. You have access to a high quality economy. Yes, it's under pressure, but the potential is huge. And you have the Suez Canal. The one that owns the Suez Canal or has influence in the Suez Canal controls global trade to and from Europe. And that's now simple. The Russians are building a hell of a lot on the Suez Canal. And it's Chinese. And yes, the Arabs also. Yeah, Abu Dhabi
yes,
is looking at it. Saudi, for sure. Yeah, because it's NEOM. Yeah, NEOM, Suez. Yeah, that's without access to the Suez Canal. Forget NEOM. Yeah, simple. Yeah, so it's, again, and I've stated it before, geography rules what people do. Geography rules trade, movements, but also where people want to have access. And Egypt for this is a main access route.
Right. So, how about I put this formulation to you? I, as many of us may have done, one of the I say this a bit flippantly, but after when I was studying energy, and after the Quran and the Bible, it was kind of Daniel Jürgens the prize. That was okay. I'm
here we go.
Any scholars that I'm using a bit of satire there, so don't condemn me for saying that. Recently Daniel Jürgen, I think he published the New Energy Map, kind of a sequel or continuation.
Yeah.
What I hear from you, Cyril, it almost is a continuation of that. This is so we have this thesis about now New Energy Map, and we know how the shale revolution affected things in the US and globally, but now we have this situation where you've put across that, number one, the energy transition is not going to happen as fast as everybody's expecting. So oil and gas is going to remain very important. Second, although it's not happening as fast, there is still a huge demand for critical minerals, and there always has been for technology, for military, for semiconductors, communications, etc. And on top of that, now we have electrification of transport and lithium. So in terms of a new energy map, what I potentially see then is efforts in particular from China and others, but from China, not necessarily to go out there and create a euro or new currency or to kill the US dollar or something, but really it's to control the destiny of their energy transition. What do you think?
Yes, it's for sure that okay, the two main Asian powers, are trying to control the energy transition, and energy transition, it's not only energy. Energy transition will mean in the end, a total reshaping of every single economy, because we will need to electrify everything, and that's not going to be easy. Look at the Netherlands. We have the best electricity grid in the world, the best gas infrastructure in the world, and the energy transition is on hold right now because both are not anymore sufficient to cope with what we need to do. Right. Now, if that's here, it's going to be the same in the rest of the world. Now, energy transition means also that there could be substantial shocks to a global system. Now, the ones that are trying to rule this shock to their advantage are more or less 3 or 4 main blocks. That's China, America, Europe, and most probably India. Because they will hold the largest economical power and military power. Energy transition is linked to security, and people never understand, especially until Russia invaded Ukraine. Europe did not even think about energy as security.
True.
Because it was there, easy, simple. You woke up, you push the button, electricity is there. And gas was also there. Simple. Now, that has changed, and the rest of the world was maybe even smarter than Europe again, because to every single Arab, energy, oil and gas is national security. Simple.
Yes.
That has been always. For China, India, it has been national security because they do not have it. So access, it's national security. For Russia, it's clear, after saying we will not use energy as security or a military asset, it's being done. Okay. Now, so that is implementing a global change. Is there a new energy map? I dare to say the energy map is more or less exactly the same, except that we realize that it's more than oil or gas or coal, or before that wood. So it's a substitution that is going on between existing energy sources and new ones. Okay. Same for uranium. Nobody is looking at that, but look now at BRICS Plus, and then look at who owns uranium.
Right.
It's a major issue, because if we want to electrify and CO2 neutral or even negative, nuclear should be in there. And nuclear it's in the hands of somebody else. So that's a very interesting move, and people start to realize it. But there's this strange idea that technology will solve things always, which it didn't. Yeah, economic growth the last 2 centuries did not come mainly due to technology change. It came by the use of oil and gas. That was the most important one. Now, that is going to be an ongoing issue, and all of these parties are trying to influence that. Yeah? Right. In how far everybody is able to do that, it's still in the open, because for BRICS, the main issue will be we have hopefully, my statement, yeah, hopefully now realized in the West, we have done too much offshoring of everything that we needed to one single place. Now, for BRICS, that's a positive thing, because we were bringing it to BRICS, to one single place. Yeah. Now, if we now decide to bring it to India and reshore it from China to India, what will that mean for BRICS?
Well, you're just reshoring from one place to another place within BRICS.
Yeah, but that also will mean the power position of China will weaken.
Okay.
The power position of India will be stronger. What will be the reaction of all the other BRICS ones related to China, and how will China react? And yes, I've done geopolitics and war studies, etc.
Yeah.
Normally, look at Jürgen also and all the others that have been writing about this. Energy is security. And security linked to energy, well, the thing that everybody always states is the Carter doctrine, yeah, so that America is allowed to use every potential option in their power to secure energy.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the rest of the world does not need that doctrine because they are doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Cyril, we're in our last few minutes. So one question I'd like to put to you, de-dollarization.
Yeah.
Reality or a myth?
Reality, if we look at the percentage of a certain international currency. So yes, we are seeing an increased use of Chinese currency and Indian rupees and Russian rubles. Yeah, so yes, when you look at that. No, and that's a very hard no. If we look at the total volume of the dollar being used in international trade or in debt financing, etc., then yeah, International Bank of Settlements this month just said, look, people, the position of the dollar has even increased.
Okay.
It is at this moment 92% of international trade is done in US dollars. And then another 5-6% is done in euro. So there's not a lot left, because you also have then Japanese yen and Swiss franc and English pounds, and then you have Chinese and rupees and rubles. It's not going to be happening in my lifetime, I am sure. At the same time, why should even BRICS Plus do it? because every single deal they have made is done in US dollars. The main holders of US securities are BRICS countries, and US shares and US debt and US national debt, etc., bonds. It's done in US dollars. Their investments of their sovereign wealth funds or banks or family offices, and family offices nobody looks at, but that's a multi-trillion also. Yeah, nobody looks at it. They are buying what? High-rise buildings in Manhattan, in nice areas in London. They buy ports. And we will not accept rupees or Chinese or rubles. You need to pay us either in US dollars or in euros. So if they are lowering the currency that they are having their most assets in, plus their most trade, plus their most technology trade, plus whatever, they're hitting themselves. If China wanted to do this, they can do it without BRICS. The largest US security holder is China. So if they would sell or throw their debt holdings of US government debt on the market, the US dollar is dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then China also would be dead.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, in a closing remark, there's a kind of financial mutually assured destruction between the US and China, which may actually keep them level-headed.
The mad scenario keeps them shouting at each other, but still working with each other.
Fantastic. Cyril, it has been, we're out of time. It has been a joy as usual. I think a lot of interesting things are happening. So perhaps in a few months again, we can come back and have an update and do this again. But
of course,
wish you all the best. Hope to see you soon. And it's great talking to you again.
Me too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.